Now all my people just to rise and shine. You gotta rise and shine. Come on, rise and shine, rise and shine, rise and shine. Now all my people just to rise and shine. You gotta rise and shine. Come on, rise and shine, rise and shine, rise and shine. Somehow we've got to make things work. Somehow we've got to get it together. Somehow we've got to make things work. Yeah. Somehow we've got to make things work. Somehow we've got to get it together. Yeah. We've got to make things work. Yeah.
What an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank
How are you
so
doing?
Much, Bonnie. I'm really well.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Yeah. Well, you look amazing and you sound amazing, so I'm sure there aren't any complaints.
Thank you.
I mean, this has been a really long journey for you. And can you tell us a little bit about your childhood journey? Because that also ties into some of the film work that you've done around the displacement of indigenous people. But how did music feature in your childhood?
Wow, sure. I was born and raised in Grassy Park in the Cape Flats. And we lived communally. So after my family had been removed from the farmland in Constantia, fortunately we were able to move as a group. And so I grew up with a lot of musicians, a lot of music making in the evenings. My uncle had a sort of studio cabin. And it was a very lively, colourful yard. Lots of cousins, aunties, uncles, record player playing lots of reggae and dub and folk and alternative and all kinds of sounds, country. So there was always music. I went to bed hearing music at night, hearing him, rehearsing with Sons of Selassie, and I woke up hearing music. And I think I probably sang, well, my mother says that I did sing before I said my first words and was speaking.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
So that's something that we've just always had in the family.
Yeah. Did you make your own instruments as well? Or were there people around you who were making their own instruments, kind of indigenous instruments?
That came later. My opa had, fiol, violin, and trekorrel, accordion, lots of guitars. But I think because of the time where it was not, now we have this movement and an uprising and an awareness of your roots, your indigenous roots,
Absolutely.
Right? And what came before 1652, that wasn't there back then. So when you talk about indigenous instrument making, this is an awareness that's happening or has been happening over the last decade or more.
Yeah.
And really coming to the fore now. So, and which is incredible. It's really exciting
amazing
to see people break free from stereotypes as well and say, we can trace our roots to the first peoples.
Absolutely.
To the Hwehwe, to the slaves, to... and
it's
that
a
we
strong
are
spiritual affirmation
absolutely,
as well. Absolutely,
and finding oneself and who you are, and a pride in yourself as a people.
It's beautiful. Then came Mood Phase 5, and you guys were a huge band back in the 90s for quite some time.
Yeah.
And how did that happen? And when did you meet? And what kind of music were you aiming to do?
We met literally 20 years ago.
Wow.
It's been that long. I started quite young with music. I was 15 and I started with Black Noise, who are still going as incredible hip-hop legends, and with the Heal the Hood Foundation. Yeah. But Mood Phase 5 happened when I was 23, around that age, just completing varsity. They needed a singer, and so got my number, but I walked into the first rehearsal and I absolutely knew that was home for me.
Wow.
Because I'd come from Black Noise hip-hop band, and so it just felt natural to be with such an incredible band, so many different cultures and ethnicities and styles of music, and once again all original, so I could write. We were telling our stories from South Africa, from the Cape. And fusing the sounds of all the music that we love, dub, reggae, hip-hop, trip-hop, jazz. And it was a really exciting time in the late 90s, mid to late 90s in South Africa as well.
An important time.
Yeah, we were all very in love with each other. You know, new into this new South Africa, really embracing each other, you're just forming independent record labels, a lot of events, huge support between genres and arts and culture sector. It was a very, very exciting time, a lot of hope in the air.
Yeah. It birthed a lot of what's happening now as well.
Yeah.
And then you became a mother, and obviously motherhood changes your life completely.
Yeah,
How did that change your music and just your creativity, really?
I decided that I needed to make my own little drummers and groupies and roadies. And my kids are very musical. They are now 10 and almost 14 is the middle child, and my eldest is 15 and a half, great drummer. And it does change your life. I actually made my debut album with my solo work, spanned 2 pregnancies, because I had my 2 boys very close to each other. Very undercover, independent release, but it was a very beautiful time. I made the film. I collaborated with Otherwise Media at that time to make the documentary Brown about the Constantia removals. I was in a very introspective space.
Yeah.
As a mother, as you know, you want to explore your roots and the story, where you come from, because you're continuing the line. So you want to have something to give those children.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's where it was an incredibly inspiring time. I never stopped performing. I moved to Germany for a few years.
Wow.
Got back a few years ago, and been really amazing to be back in the country. Also shocking.
Also shocking, right?
Because it's such a different time to what we were just talking about, which was like...
So much has changed and yet so much hasn't, right?
Yeah.
There's that
but exciting, and like a really exciting time where, as creatives, we really can be as independent as possible. We are realizing that there is value in the work that we do.
Absolutely.
There is product in what we do, whether you are creating a film or a book or albums, and there's a worldwide stage, there's a worldwide market, you know. We don't have to go via a record label anymore. You can publish your own music. So there's a lot more freedom.
And autonomy,
There's a lot of autonomy. And there's also a lot of, we have to really educate ourselves and be clever. Because it also means there's a lot of exposure and possible pitfalls. But it really is an exciting time, and I'm happy to still be in music, to been able to see that progression, that change.
That's beautiful. We look forward to your performance later. Can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.